I had to get ready for you guys. A wonderful, wonderful show. I've only had the fortune of seeing episode one, but very impactful. And thank you for taking some time to talk to me today.
Of course, thank you for having us.
Thank you for your presence. You're beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm about to say she got a really good aura on her, right? Like this,
right?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you guys. Come on, you better make my Monday. Make it for Black History Month. Thank you.
Listen. Every time we can give love and honor and respect to Black women, we're gonna do it because figuratively and literally, we wouldn't be here without you. So, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I receive all of that from you all. Thank you so much. When I watched this episode and I was intrigued by the coordination of it. As Black people, we know the various ways that racism influences how Black men and women are treated in this country. Actually, I'll begin with you, Tristan. In preparation as the host of this show, you have to study a great deal. Some stories you know about, some that you don't. So how did your preparation to serve as host kind of resurrect your own trauma, your own experiences, and things that have shaped you as a Black man in this country?
Man, I'll start by saying if I didn't really go to therapy and have time in therapy, sitting with my therapist and exercising a lot of those demons ahead of time, this would have been a lot to go through. Seeing a lot of the quotes, seeing a lot of the statistics of what it means, quote unquote, to be a dangerous Black man, let alone the rest of the episodes. It's a real thing. You kind of, you don't realize the things that you've gone through as a child. A lot of times we, as Black men, we kind of just chalk it up to being a Black man. Oh, that's, it is what it is. I grew up in the projects. Of course, I'm going to get stopped and frisked. Of course, people are going to look at me this way. I go to school, no kids wants to hang out with me or come to my neighborhood. It makes sense. You start to believe the propaganda that they keep feeding us in media versus understanding who we really are. And you don't realize how deep those wounds or those cuts, how deep they actually are. So it was a lot, man. It was a lot to read through, but having Kristen and having Trell and having P. Frank actually there, and as we're going through it and seeing what world we're unraveling from all of the different narratives and different aspects, it was good to do it with people that care as much about about the experience as I do.
Yeah, that was what the overwhelming feeling of it was for me, was the care that was taken, the real respect for the Black voice and our experiences that sometimes is overlooked by non-Black people, non-people of color. When we create these kind of projects, there are other voices and notes that make their way into projects like this that kind of sort of minimize it for me. And I never felt that. I felt the care, like this was made by Black people for everyone, but specifically for me. And I felt seen in all of these things. Kristen, over to you. Something that was particularly moving, triggering, striking to me was identifying all the ways that Black men are profiled, particularly the gentleman who spoke of being a police officer and having to pass through Culver City. My father also worked in law enforcement here in California and would have to pass through Signal Hill, and Signal Hill police would pull him over. He would tell me stories about that all the time. He'd be in uniform and still be pulled over. When you have a project like this, and there's so many ways that this affects us, how do you identify each of the topics? Because it could be a 30 episode series on the different ways that the systemic profiling of Black people, Black men in particular, happens in this country. So how did you narrow it down to the topics, the media, war on drugs, and the topics that were selected?
Yeah, well, basically, our team all together, we were able to pitch different subject matters that we really wanted to touch on. You talked about your personal experience. It's a combination of historical content, things that are relevant to us that have happened to us, and also that we have witnessed. And so we wanted to make sure that this project is not only the voice of Black people, but also that it will encourage and entice people of all communities to really get into these topics, really think about profiling, really think about how they've thought about Black men, how they've treated Black men. And so we just wanted to make sure that we were coming up with topics that were going to be not only educational, but again, something that would get people talking and really move the needle forward in regards to how we're treating one another and especially how we're treating Black men.
Mhm. With that education, over to you, Trell. A lot of time people minimize projects because a lot of the storytelling is from firsthand experience, but you guys did a wonderful job of interweaving historical context. As Kristen just mentioned, how did you find the fine line between having that historical context, but still keeping the heart of it with these personal testimonies and people have been affected in our current time by these age-long discriminatory practices towards Black men?
Right. I think, well, we set out to debunk these stereotypes. And I don't think that you can debunk the stereotypes without getting into that historical context, right? Without telling people like where they come from, why people might think like that, but then also coming back and telling people what the truth of the matter is and giving that those real numbers and those real statistics. So we definitely talked quite a bit about how to do that in the most productive way, but it's just that we had to just make sure that in debunking these stereotypes and helping us change the narrative, that we gave context of where these stereotypes came from, because I think that's important to understand, and not only to debunk it, but also for you to form your own opinion that's rooted in fact.
Mhm. It left a lot of room for discussion. I learned, like I said, I learned a lot of things. I have my own personal experiences, stories from my father, from my relatives, my own brothers, but it really left a lot of room for discussion. And that was very meaningful for me to start some social media discourse with people we don't know, or maybe educating other people who are non-Black about these aggressions that happen that they're not aware of.
Yeah, that's really something that we took to heart. We wanted this to be a discussion point and an educational piece, and also something that people can talk about with their families and also their friends, and also do a deep dive about how they have perceived Black men, how they have perceived things that have happened in the world, and also how to shift that. Like Trell said, really changing the narrative in a way that will move us forward and allow us to celebrate our Black men, love our Black men, and encourage and uplift them. So, I think it's been a personal passion project for all of us because it's something that we have experienced in our lives. Even just having the honor of being a part of this, as soon as I heard what it was about, I was just excited and elated to be a part of it. So I just want to thank Trell for creating such a wonderful project like this, because it's needed. It's something we haven't seen. It's something that's never been on television before. And so we're like thrilled for the world to see it.
Yeah, I think the time, about to say, Trell, to second that, piggyback on that, as they say in the clubhouse rooms. Bro, I can't thank you enough for doing this project. Yeah, for creating this space. Nah, for real, man. It's especially after just doing Thoughts of a Colored Man, where the whole play is about dispelling the tropes that they constantly put on us, the different titles that they put on us, showing that we are more than what they think of us. To jump into something like this, man, it just feels like we're furthering the work, and it's much needed work, and the timing is impeccable. So thank you, sir.
It is.
Oh man, thank y'all.
I hope it enters the discussions amidst all these discussion about critical race theory and all these things that they're trying to ban. I hope it makes its way into curriculum. Maybe there's a young professor out there who can use this. I have a child who's a freshman in college right now, and hopefully this will make its way into the curriculum because it's wonderful, wonderful crafted work. I do have one fun question for Mack. How do you practice the cadence to be the documentarian narrator? Because we watch Leah Schreiber and like all these people for HBO who do these things. What is the documentary cadence as a performer?
Listen, I'm still trying to figure it out. I think the best way that I was able to kind of like get into a groove, and again, you can ask Kristen through our various ADR sessions, that I just wanted to make sure that it felt as real and as poetic as possible, and depending on what we were talking about, figuring what beats to hit, what beats not to hit. It's like writing a song, right? You got you have to find the parts that you want to mean more, and that's the one that you may do a little run or something on it. You just got to treat it like it's music.
You did a wonderful job. HBO, Showtime, All Access, hire this man to narrate some of the stories. But I thank you for your time in this wonderful project. It is beautiful. I cannot wait to see the other episodes, and I really appreciate you all for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. Beautiful interview.
Thank you. The pleasure is entirely mine. Thank you so much.